Hi, it's MJSA mentor jeweler Joel McFadden, and today we're going to talk about flush setting tools. And specifically, we're going to talk about the magic fork. And what we're going to do today is we're going to make a flush setting tool out of a fork tine. My normal flush setting tool is a steel burnisher, and you should have been able to see me use this in my video about flush setting and the science behind flush setting. This is the tool that we use, and normally this would be the tool you'd go in there. But there's something I want to talk about, and that is the Mohs scale. There's a scale used in the jewelry industry that describes the hardness of stones, and this is a good example of the scale, and I'll post this in the bottom. So you could see talc is like really weak, and it has soapstone, lead, tin, and it's 1.7 or 1. And then you go into the middle, apatite, which is still pretty soft, as a Mohs scale of 5. Quartz is a 7. Topaz is an 8. Corundum, which would be sapphires or rubies, things like that, is a 9. And then diamonds are a 10. And most of the stones that we set as jewelers are in the 7, 8, 9, 10 range. Tourmalines are 7. Beryls are like emeralds are 7s. Some of the smallest, like the feldspars and the hematites, agates and things, they're in the 6. This is a lot of the cabochon types that you're going to be doing. But what's interesting is if you look at this, you'll notice that steel is 7 to 8, 8.5 on the Mohs scale, meaning that steel will not scratch sapphires or diamonds, but will scratch topaz, quartz, and any of these other things. So my steel burnisher is not really effective on softer stones. However, if you look here, stainless steel is 5.5 to 6.3 on the Mohs scale, meaning you can set hematite, feldspar, garnet, agate, silicone tourmalines, beryls, all these other stones if you use stainless steel. Now, this is a trick that I learned from Blaine Lewis at the New Approach School for Jewelers, and I got to give him all the credit for coming up with this. The interesting thing, though, is that stainless steel has to be done a little bit differently because it's a little bit softer. So, first of all, the best source for stainless steel is an old fork. So in order to make my lovely wife cringe, I'm going to take this fork we have and we're going to make this tool. So the first thing we want to do is cut one of the end tines off. And we're just going to hold this down here. And you want one that's got a little thickness to it. And you just want to take a separating disc or a saw, and just cut it off. And it's going to get hot, so give it a minute.
That is not one of the forks that was a wedding present.
This is an oddball extra fork that we have. And you can buy these from Amazon really cheaply. I mean, you can buy a group of like 5 stainless steel forks for like $6 or $7. Stainless steel is not particularly expensive. So now what we want to do is we want to shape this so that we can fit it into here, which is I'm using a GRS collet. You could use whatever you want. You could use a wooden piece or whatever, but I use the GRS collets or the NSET collets. So we're just basically going to grab it and grind down the end a little bit. And shape it so it fits into the collet. And here we go.
Could entertain them by showing pictures of Remy behind you.
Show the pictures of Remy.
In your old store where you grew up. And the angel oak from South Carolina.
That's my original jewelry store when my family was in business in Charleston. That's angel oak. That's considered the oldest living object on the eastern seaboard. That's a tree near where I used to go. This is our old dog. This is one of the championship rings that we did for HBO boxing. And this is a guitar that was a gift to my mom from Bonnie Raitt. So you got a little mini studio tour there. One of the things that you should do as a habit when you make tools that a lot of people don't think to do is while you're grinding and shaping, take a moment to knock the sharp edges off, because you'll be surprised how those sharp edges might just catch up with you later. Alright, so we're going to put this tool in here. If you don't use these collets, they're fantastic because you just slide a tool in, get your little wrench, tighten it down, and then we can pop them into the hand pieces. Alright, so now we have this sort of funky bent thing that's not exactly like what we do for the normal. Straighten a little curve out of it. They'd straighten that much, but so there's a big difference between these two, but because the stainless is so much weaker, we actually have to shape it, and we have to do it differently than we do with the regular tool. So what we're going to do is this is going to be our flat bottom end, and then this is going to be our curved end. So I'm going to go back to my disc here. This is a sanding disc. This is a medium snap-on sanding disc. And I'm going to flatten this end. And I'm going to put a graphic at the end of this video to show you exactly what it should look like. And then we're going to take this end and curve it down. So that initially it looks like this from the side view, and then from the top view it looks like that. And now what I want to do is bevel the top view so that everything comes to a point. Now, one issue with the stainless steel burnishers, because they are softer, they wear out and they have to be sharpened and reshaped quite a bit more frequently than the hardened steel ones. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to emulate this look with this, but have more meat on this side so that it's more durable. So now I'm going to switch to a pumice wheel, and we're just going to clean the top of this up a little bit more. And basically dragging it to the point and trying to get a nice finish on this. Remember that the finish that you have on your tools will impart itself on the jewelry that you're building. So the shinier your tools, the better polished they are, the less polishing that you will have to do to your jewelry after you finish setting or whatever you end up doing with it. okay. Alright, so now what I want to do is I have a ring here, and I've already cut a seat for a stone. I have a CZ. I'm going to drop the CZ in here, and I want to make sure that my burnishing tool will fit. Now, if I'm using my traditional burnishing tool, I would drop it in here and make sure that it sort of sticks right there, which it doesn't really, so I might need to go a little bit lower on this stone. But all this isn't covered in my other video, but right there. So the burnishing tool, as you see in the science of burnishing setting, would go around and around and sharpen it. With this tool, right now, all I really want to do is make sure that it will stick in there, and it does. It sits exactly like the burnishing tool, but unlike the burnishing tool, I can't just go around and around. But we got one more thing we have to do, and that is polish this tool, because like I said, we want to impart the same finish. So follow me over here to the polishing center. The first tool we're going to use here is a split lap. And if you don't use a split lap, it's a great tool for polishing. You can see that, you probably can't see this, but what this does is it puts a perfectly flat surface. And by looking through here, I can actually see how I'm polishing this metal. And we're just going to polish the bottom with the split lap. Now, one of the interesting things that I do is that I use Gray Star both on my split lap and for my initial polishing on the bucking wheel. So I don't have to clean this in between because I'm not cross-contaminating. So now we want to polish the top smooth sort of dome part of this tool. Can you see? If I go like this, can you see? Yeah. Oop. So there you can see pretty good the shape and the finish. So now that my tool is all cleaned up and polished, I have a flat edge, and then the other three surfaces sort of dome down to it. We're going to drop it in my tool here. It's always interesting how you miss things when you're recording it. Now, the big difference between how you use this tool and how you use the standard tool is with the standard tool, we drop it in and we go round and round and round. With this tool, you actually have a directional surface. So the flat surface itself rides on the stone, and you do arcs. So I'm going to do a little arc here, and then I'm going to turn the piece, arc here. I'm going to go on this side, and again, the flat surface rides on the stone. I know this is hard to see. And if you're wondering, this is just a bronze stone I have here too. And then we're going to slide that flat surface here. And you should be able to see just a little bit of a lip forming there. Can you see my hands moving? Mm-hmm. Good. That's all I want. The clicking noise that you hear when you do this sometimes is actually the flat bottom of the burnisher skipping over the facet junctions of the crown on this. And that's just fine because this CZ or a sapphire or a tourmaline is harder than the burnisher. So that's it. That stone is well set. And I think if you zoom in, you should be able to see that nice little rim. Three. So what prompted this video was one of you asked on this job where I was bezel setting the chalcedony, I had used my stainless burnisher to clean up around the edge here. And you had asked specifically about what tool I was using, and this is a great use for this tool right here because as you can see, this polished stainless burnisher, if I skate it across the stone, it's not scratching it. Whereas a steel piece would easily tear the stone up. So that's your big tip for the day, how to make a stainless steel burnisher out of a fork. And making our tools is great. So there you go. Please subscribe and please subscribe to my channel and please support MJSA Custom Jeweler. So here's what your tine starts after you cut it off the fork. And your first grind is going to be around the top where I've shown in red. This will get your initial point. Then you're going to come in on both sides and bring it to a sharp point and then polish that so everything's soft. Don't leave edges sharp. When you're using this burnisher, this is the way you want to use it, with the flat side running along the crown facets of your faceted stone or your stone and the curved side running into the metal. Hope this helps. Thanks for watching.